Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Touchline Tugao episode 6. I'm not here to waste your time, so let's get straight in to the action. And the first game was Porto 3, Rio Ave 0. FC Porto cruised to a dominant 3-0 victory over Rio Ave. The visitors struck early with Rosario from a corner, although there's a little deflection on it, and Samu finding the net within the first 15 minutes from another corner. No deflection needed that time, although some poor defending from the centre-back Navas. Gabby Veiga sealed the win shortly after the break with a fantastic finish and a great assist from Pepe, capping off a performance defined by clinical finishing and tactical control. Samu did nearly make it 4, forcing a great save from Mister, and then Pepe hit the post shortly after. Rio Ave struggled to convert possession into any form of chances, failing to register more than one shot on target throughout the whole match. Despite moments of aggressive play and forward momentum from their wing-backs, they just couldn't break for Porto's disciplined defence. And FC Porto asserted their dominance across key performance metrics throughout the match. They consistently tested Mister with multiple shots on target, while Rio Ave failed to register a single effort that troubled the keeper. Porto's relentless attacking pressure really should have seen them score a few more, with Rodrigo Moura, Zaidu and Borja Sainz all being wasteful with their finishing. Key players, for me, Rio Ave has to beat Cesare Mister. The goalkeeper let in 3 of course, but saved 4, making 3 saves from inside the box and even got 11 out of 19 passes completed. For Porto, I'm going to go with Gabby Veiga, and I've been harsh on the midfielder this season, but a goal and 2 assists of course is enough to get him in there. But he also won 3 out of his 4 ground duels and his only aerial duel as well. The worst performance for me, Rio Ave, has to be Andre Luiz. 90 minutes, 0 out of 2 accurate crosses, lost 2 out of 8 ground duels, lost possession 9 times, and overall a poor game. For FC Porto, again, it feels harsh for giving worse players even though it's a 3-0 victory, but I'm going to go with Francisco Moura. 0 out of 3 crosses, 0 out of 1 long balls, lost possession 13 times and committed 2 fouls. So, overall poor game for him. Moving on to Madeira now, and it was Nacional 1, Arouca 2. And Arouca staged a second half comeback to snatch all 3 points against CD Nacional in a tense and dramatic encounter. Nacional were awarded a penalty very early after a handball from Amadou Dante, which unfortunately was missed by Jesus Ramirez. But Nacional had most of the chances in the first half, but none as clear cut as Arouca's in the 33rd minute, when good old Dylan Nandin made it through on goal, had about 15 seconds to get a shot off, but for some reason slowed down and then was dispossessed easily from Zé Victor. But it was a great run back from the defender. And the first half ended goalless, and it was still all to play for. And to be fair to Dylan Nandin, he had a great strike from outside the box which hits the bar and nearly crossed the line, but the replay showed it just bounced on the line. Nacional would get another penalty in the 65th minute after another handball in the box from the same defender, Amadou Dante. The same player who gave away the first penalty, giving another penalty away for his second handball. Crazy. And anyway, Ramirez had no trouble converting this one. 1-0 Nacional. But Nacional thought they had made it 2, but Pablo Roan was just an inch offside. Arouca responded swiftly, with Popovic equalising just 8 minutes later from a corner. But it was poor defending and poor goalkeeping from Nacional. In the 79th minute, Nacional's Mateus Dias was sent off for kicking Ivan Barbero, which was also the last man, giving him a direct red card. But just 5 minutes later, there was no advantage to Arouca, as Jose Fontan was shown a second yellow for Arouca for pulling the shirt of Jesus Ramirez and was sent off. But unfortunately for Nacional, it was Esperan Van A who completed the turnaround. After a great pass from Barbero, the strength and the finish from Espen Van E was fantastic and sealed the win in the dying moments. Or so you would think, because Nacional would actually equalise in the 94th minute. But it was ruled out for offside. I'm going to put the picture in here. I don't really see how it is. For me, Jesus Ramirez is onside. I think it's tight, but Sport TV never showed the lines, so I really don't know if it was offside or not, but to me and the naked eye, that's onside. But despite Nacional's early control and chances, it was Arouca's tactical resilience and clinical finishing that proved decisive in the second half. It was a much needed win for Arouca as well, as they haven't been great this season, and this is what they might need to kick on. The best performances for me Nacional is Zé Victor. Even though the defence conceded 2, he had some very important tackles this game. 4 clearances, 2 interceptions, 3 tackles including 2 last man tackles, 4 out of 7 ground duels, 4 out of 5 aerial duels, a solid performance all round. For Arouca, it's going to be the keeper João Valido, and the goalkeeper kept Arouca in this game. 5 saves, prevented 1.21 goals, and saved a penalty. A solid performance. Speaking of goalkeepers, the worst performance for Nacional at least has to go to Lucas Franca. And usually I would give it to the player who got the red card, but Lucas Franca was shocking. Only 1 save, minus 0.56 goals prevented, and from the corner, he's 6'4", but still looks so bad in the air. I really don't understand it. He was poor, and he's had a few games like that this season already. Of course, for Arouca, it's got to be Dante. Who else would it be? I mean, it's not for Jose Fontaine's red card, but how do you give away 2 of the exact same penalties? Just schoolboy errors. From Madeira to the Azores, as Santa Clara beat Alverca 2-1, but Alverca will be heartbroken they couldn't see out the draw, with Santa Clara getting a goal in the 97th minute. But it did start off poorly for Alverca. An awful header aimed for the Alverca goalkeeper by Jose Martinez meant Andre Gomes had to rush out, and after initially making a good save, he failed to win the ball from a tackle, giving away a penalty which was converted easily by Serginho. 1-0 to Santa Clara. But quickly, Lincoln, former Santa Clara man, answered back with a strong header after a great cross from Figueiredo. As the game progressed, Santa Clara maintained a higher attacking output, creating better chances and bigger chances, but also showing defensive discipline. Alverca have relied on high pressing throughout the season and counter-attacks, and in this game they looked threatening in spells, but were just unable to break through again. The decisive moment came into stoppage time when MT found the net off a corner. It was a great delivery that was right on the keeper, then MT just headed it in, sealing a dramatic late victory for Santa Clara. My best players for Santa Clara is going to be MT just for scoring the winner alone, but also 5 clearances, 4 out of 4 aerial duels, 51 out of 62 passes, and of course the winner. For Alverca, it will be Lincoln. The former Santa Clara player did score against them, and he's been great since signing for Alverca. 81 minutes, 1 shot, 1 goal, 33 touches, and 18 out of 23 passes. For me, the worst for Santa Clara has to be Gabriel Silva. Only 58 minutes for the striker, 1 shot and it was off target, and he missed 1 big chance and lost possession 8 times before being subbed off. For Alverca, I'm going to go with Marko Milanovic. 69 minutes, not a single shot attempt, only 20 touches of the ball, and lost possession 8 times. Moving on to AVS, where they lost to Benfica 3-0, and of course the big talking point is Mourinho is back, and he's taken over the Benfica job after Bruno Lage was sacked earlier in the week. Benfica delivered a commanding performance to secure a 3-0 away win over AVS, showcasing their attacking depth and tactical control. Ivanovic thought he scored in the first 15 minutes, but in the build-up play, the ball went out of play, so the goal was cancelled. A great tackle from AVS defender Bain stopped a great goal from Ivanovic, getting the ball with a very outstretched leg. AVS even hit the post in the 38th minute, with Toman's strike actually beating Trubin, but not beating the woodwork. The first half would have ended goalless if not for Sudogov opening the scoring with a composed finish. Pavlidis would add to the tally after a penalty was awarded to Benfica after Bane elbowed Otamendi, making his earlier great tackle null and void. And Pavlidis of course would convert from the spot, and lastly Ivanovic capped off the victory with a well-timed goal, even though the keeper did get a touch on it, but it did reflect Benfica's influence in both midfield build-up and the final third execution. AVS, to no one's surprise, struggled to maintain possession and failed to capitalise on their few attacking opportunities. They did sack coach Jose Mota before the game, so they are currently without a manager. Despite a compact defensive shape and attempts to counter-attack, AVS were just unable to break Benfica's press or disrupt Mourinho's rhythm. Benfica's dominance in possession, pressing intensity, and individual brilliance proved too much for the hosts. The best players for me, for AVS, I'm actually going to give it to Babatunde Akinsola. Now don't get me wrong, it was a poor display from AVS, but Akinsola was a bright spark in the dark team. 2 out of 3 long balls, 6 out of 8 successful dribbles, 9 out of 13 ground duels, and was fouled twice. For Benfica, after his mistake last week, I've gone with Nicolas Otamendi. And you might be surprised that because Benfica won 3-0, they actually picked a defender, but Otamendi had an immense game. 12 clearances, 115 touches at the ball, 86 out of 90 passes, 6 out of 9 long balls, 2 out of 3 ground duels, and 11 out of 13 aerial duels, and even 1 a penalty. The worst players from AVS, I'm going to give it to Sidi Bane. The right back gave away a penalty, so I'll put him here. but really you could pick anyone from ABS, apart from Akinsola of course, to put there. And for Benfica, I'm actually not going to put a worse player here. Their first game under Mourinho was really good. They worked like a well-oiled machine, and I don't think there was a weak link anywhere. Next game was Vitória 1, Braga 1, and the Minho Derby promised a lot but unfortunately let down. A better result for a rebuilding Vitória than a big spend in Braga, but you do have to wonder how long Carlos Vicente has left in his job after this result. Fran Navarro would give Braga the early lead, showcasing his sharp movement and his clinical finishing after a shot from Gyokeres was deflected. Vitória responded through Mata Mitrovic with an absolute screamer of an equaliser, with a shot from outside the box which landed in the top corner, giving the keeper no chance. Even though Hornacek actually got a fingertip to it, it was still a great goal. Just before the end of the first though, Sporting Braga defender Gabriel Martinez brought down Miguel Nogueira in the box for a penalty. Nelson Oliveira stepped up, but he missed it. It was a great save from Hornacek to deny him. Braga dominated the possession and created more chances, especially in the second half, but struggled to convert their attacking momentum into further goals. Vitória meanwhile adopted a pragmatic approach, being organised at the back and efficient in transition. Despite having fewer attacking spells than Braga, they made the opportunities count and held firm under pressure. It's fair to say the match was more action-packed in the first half than the second, with both teams struggling to get a shot on target in the second half. But I will say I think 1-1 was a fair result. The best players for me, for Vitória, has to be Mitrovic. The midfielder scored the equaliser, completed 31 out of 36 passes, 6 out of 8 long balls, 2 shots on target, overall a solid performance. For Braga, it seems he's there all the time, but I'm going to go with Lucas Hornacek. The goalkeeper made some great saves in this game, 2 saves including a penalty save, 32 out of 40 passes, and 1 out of 1 and 2 out of 2 ground and aerial duels respectively. The worst for Vitória is Nelson Oliveira, and it was a horrible game for the veteran. 81 minutes, only 1 shot, missed a penalty, won 1 out of 5 aerial duels and lost possession 8 times. For Braga, I struggled a bit with this one, but I've gone with Rodrigo Zalazar. He's arguably the best midfielder in the team, but it was a poor game from him. 90 minutes, 1 out of 7 crosses completed, 1 out of 5 aerial duels, lost possession 19 times and got a yellow card. Was overall a quiet game for him. Now we are moving on to Tondela 0, Estrela 0, and although it might look like a snooze fest, it was a battle of the goalkeepers in this game, with many saves from both keepers. This match offered plenty of attacking intent, but lacked finishing precision. Tondela were the more assertive side in my opinion. They dominated possession and created several promising chances, including a save from Renan off the bar from a Jordan Siebatcheu header. Their attacking momentum was consistent across both halves, but they just couldn't find the breakthrough, where Estrela really struggled to create anything. Siebatcheu thought he had scored in the 46th minute, but it was ruled out for offside. Estrela Amadora started brightly, showing early initiative and pushing into the final third. However, their attacking phases just faded out as the match progressed, and both teams did show tactical discipline. Tondela I'd say with a bit more in terms of compact defending, and Estrela had some good counterattacks, but ultimately they both missed chances, and both's lack of clinical edge kept the scoreline unchanged. But I will say Renan was fantastic. He made a great save in the 93rd minute to keep out Tondela, and that was the final action of the game before the final whistle blew. The key players for Tondela, I'm going to go with Bernardo Fontes. As mentioned, it was a battle of the goalkeepers. 3 saves, 0.61 goals prevented, 15 out of 22 passes completed, and 8 out of 15 long balls. A solid performance. For Estrela, I'm going to go with the goalkeeper again, Renan Ribeiro. The goalkeeper is having somewhat of a career renaissance at Estrela, and has made my Estrela Player of the Week for the 2nd week running. 8 saves, 1.51 goals prevented, 48 touches. Not a great game in terms of his passing, but still a brilliant shot-stopping performance. The worst for me, Tondela, has to be Jordan Siebatcheu. The Miro replacement had a poor game. 4 shots, 3 on target, but no goals. Missed a massive chance, won 2 out of 6 ground duels and lost possession 5 times before getting a yellow card and being subbed off after 83 minutes. For Estrela, I've gone with Stoica. He's Estrela's record signing, and he did come off injured, but before that, he had a poor game. In 63 minutes, 0 out of 2 dribble attempts, 7 out of 12 completed passes, 1 out of 4 ground duels, and lost possession 8 times. Moving on to one of the surprise teams, at least for me this season, Gil Vicente 2, Estoril 0. And Gil Vicente secured a well-earned victory over Estoril at the Estadio Ciudad de Barcelos, combining early control with late composure. Pablo Felipe opened the scoring from the spot in the 15th minute, after Gutiérrez gave away a penalty away by kicking Luis Esteves in the box, and Pablo stepped up and calmly converted the penalty. Pablo nearly made it 2 after going around Joel Robles, but Ferro stopped the ball from going across the goal. Estrela struggled to respond after this. They had brief spells of intent but really failed to generate clear chances. They had their best chance in the 52nd after a great run from Fabricio Garcia, but lacked the end product to either pass it across goal or shoot the ball towards goal. From that chance, a corner came that tested Andrew after a great header from Richard Sanchez, but it was a great save from Andrew. And as the match wore on, Gil Vicente maintained momentum, with new signing and former Sporting Academy graduate Jolson Fernandez sealing the win late on with a composed finish, sending Joel Robles the wrong way on the finish. The hosts were sharper in both phases. Defensively, they were organised, and offensively, they were fluid, while Estrela's best efforts were largely contained by a disciplined backline. Gil Vicente were my 15th pick, I believe, in league predictions, to finish 15th in the league, and Estrela were my top 8. But after their respective starts to the season, you could argue Gil Vicente will actually finished higher than Estrela, and Ias Cathro's men have not got off to the races yet, and there is some cause for concern there. The key players for me, Gil Vicente, is Pablo Felipe. A goal from a penalty, 2 out of 2 successful dribbles, 1 key pass, 6 out of 8 aerial duels, and was found twice. Estoril, I'm going to give it to Ferro. The defender had a decent game, 81 minutes, 14 clearances, 4 tackles and 1 interception, and a last man tackle. He also won 4 out of 5 aerial duels and 4 out of 7 ground duels. The worst players for me, Gil Vicente, is Agustin Moreira. 55 minutes and was subbed off for the second goal scorer Joelson. 0 out of 1 crosses, 1 shot off target, 0 out of 2 aerial duels, and lost possession 8 times. For Estoril, it has to be Gutiérrez. He's usually Esteril's most dangerous player, but he had a quiet game, 0 out of 1 crosses, lost possession 5 times, and of course gave away the first penalty. Moving on to Casapia 1, Famalicão 1. And Famalicão went conceding 0 goals all season to conceding 3 in 2 games. Casapia and Famalicão shared the points in a 1-1 draw that really reflected a match of contrasting styles and phases from both teams. Famalicão took control of the game early, with Gyokeres missing an early chance in the first 20, and from his reaction, he knew it. The first half really didn't offer much, but Fama were definitely in control. Famalicão took the lead early in the second half through Relpe. After a great cross from Gyokeres, he capitalised on one of their few attacking moments with a precise finish. Despite having less attacking momentum, their positional play and defensive structure kept Casapia at bay for most of the match. Gyokeres arguably should have scored again in the 66th, but again his shot was weak and went straight to the hands of Patrick Cicada. Casapia, who had more possession in the game throughout, finally broke through late in the game. After a poor tackle from Justin De Haas, Livolan converted from the spot in the 88th minute after sustained pressure and a more aggressive second half push. Famalicão did have a late shout for a penalty after the ball hit Jose Fonte's hand whilst he was on the floor, but the referee didn't give it. And to be honest, if I was a referee, neither would I. Casapia showed more consistency in the final third, their finishing lacked sharpness until their penalty opportunity. The best players for me, for Casapia, Jeremy Livolan. Look, I'm a massive fan of the French winger. He scored the penalty and he even won the penalty. 3 key passes, 3 out of 4 ground duels and 4 out of 4 aerial duels won. For Famalicão, I've gone with Leal Relpe. The defender scored, he also got 11 clearances, 2 out of 2 aerial duels, 4 out of 5 ground duels and even 2 out of 2 dribbles. The worst for me, Casapia, David Souza. After his great performance last week, it was a poor performance from the defender. He lost possession 11 times, got a yellow card and had 1 shot off target. For Famalicão, it has to be Justin De Haas. He's a man who's been very solid for Famalicão this season, but what an awful penalty to give away so late in the game. And moving on to the final game of the game week, and that was Sporting 3, Moreirense 0. And this scoreline really doesn't reflect the game itself. Luis Suarez had a great chance in the first 10 minutes, taking the ball around the keeper after a great pass from Pedro Gonçalves, but it was blocked off the line. And Sporting dominated in the first half, but couldn't turn the possession into chances and goals. Luis Suarez, for example, had loads of chances, but failed to beat the keeper for Moreirense. Speaking of the keeper, André Ferreira, what kind of performance enhancers are you using? It was a fantastic performance from the goalkeeper. And after it being 0-0 in the first half, Sporting were definitely dominating, but in the second half, Sporting looked desperate. their calm approach suddenly disappeared. But after Tugao was kicked in the back of the calf, Sporting were awarded a penalty, in which Luis Suarez converted. Soon after, another penalty was given, this time after Tugao made Marcelo look stupid and give away the penalty, which this time Pedro Gonçalves was the one to convert. And finally, Alisson Santos and Ioannidis were subbed on, and Alisson on the counter-attack with a brilliant cross found Ioannidis for the first time finish to make it 3. Like I said, perhaps an unfair scoreline for Moreirense as they were solid all game and they definitely have a bright future with their squad and manager. For me, the key players for Sporting, I actually give it to Ioannidis. I was close to giving it to Suarez or Tugao, but for me, the Greek right back was fantastic. 45 out of 53 passes, 1 out of 2 crosses and long balls respectively, 3 out of 6 ground duels won, 2 out of 2 dribbles and 2 shots on target from right back. For Moreirense, it has to be Andre Ferreira. I mean, it just has to be 10 saves, 1.18 goals prevented, and like I said, an unfair scoreline on him. If his defenders were a bit more capable and didn't give away those penalties, it arguably would have ended 0-0. The worst for me has to be Ricardo Mangas for Sporting, and unfortunately he is my GOAT, but 54 minutes, got a yellow card, 0 out of 4 crosses and lost possession 6 times. For Moreirense, I'm going to give it to El Anderson, which is a funny name because it literally is just El Anderson. Speaking of Els, he was subbed on in the 60th minute and then gave away the penalty in the 75th to make it 1-0. And from there, the game completely changed. If we have a look at the league table now, going from top to bottom, Porto are first with 18 points, Sporting are second with 15, Benfica are third with 13, but they do have a game in hand coming up tomorrow, I believe, so on Tuesday, well, it'll be today when you're watching this. And then from 4th, we get Gil Vicente, Moreirense in 5th, 6th for Millicao, 7th Braga, 8th Victoria, 9th Arouca, 10th Santa Clara, 11th Casapia, 12th Estoril, 13th Estrela, 14th Alverca, 15th Nacional, 16th Rio Ave, 17th Tondela, and 18th AVS. But yeah, that's been the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed Touchline Tugao episode 6. If you want to see this in in text form, check that in the link in the description, and Twitter, of course. Make sure you follow me there as well. I'm José Mourinho. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time, and peace.